Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to the fourth day of PMI Risk Management Professional course. Today, we will be concluding our complete course content and then we'll start the mock test. Please confirm if my voice is loud and clear. Am I audible? Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes,
Yes.
sir, we can hear. Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, fantastic. So today we will be talking about here risk response strategies, residual risk, secondary risk, how to implement risk. Okay. So let me go back. So there are 7 steps. We have discussed plan risk management, identify, qualitative, and we were discussing quantitative risk analysis. And then we'll be talking about plan implementation and monitoring. So let's go down and start. Okay. Last thing that we discussed yesterday was contingency reserve and management reserve. So this is what we do in reserve analysis. We calculate our reserves, right? And contingency reserves are for known risks, and management reserves are for unknown risk. Remember, contingency reserves are part of your baseline. If they are part of your baseline, no approval is required because baseline is already approved. Management reserve are outside of baseline. If they are outside of baseline, you need an approval. So I shared a question in the group, right? And the question was, what is the one of the drawbacks of contingency reserve? So drawback of contingency reserve is that you have an estimate, let's say 100,000, right? And you have contingency reserve, let's say 30,000. So it looks like an additional chunk of budget for nothing, for no work, because this 100,000 is for work or activities. And this additional contingency reserve is for what? Right? So it looks like additional burden. So management wants to reduce it, like minimize it. There is a natural tendency or strong tendency to minimize it, right? And when you minimize it, you're not able to respond to risk. So this is the negative side of contingency reserve. Okay. So some of you answered option B, but correct answer is option A, I guess. The negative side or drawback of contingency reserve is that it has a strong tendency to minimize the overall allocation to project. Okay. There are other techniques as well that we use in quantitative risk analysis, right? So what we discussed so far, we started our discussion with expected monetary value, EMV. And in EMV, we calculate reserves. And I also shared another question. Let me try to share it here if I can so that all of you could see it. Just give me a second. And that question is about how you can calculate reserve, right? Or how you can calculate expected monetary value, EMV. So let me see if I could share with you here. Okay, I hope you could see it. So this is the question regarding expected monetary value. Who would like to answer? Everybody, please try to find the answer. Please solve it and tell me what is the right answer.
Yes, I answered it in the group 20,000.
Okay, anybody else?
Sir, it's a very simple calculation. 0.6 multiplied by 100,000 minus 0.4 multiplied by 100,000.
Okay.
So,
So let's see. Yeah. So what we do is we calculate expected monetary value like this. So EMV would be probability into impact of profit minus probability into impact of loss,
20,000.
right? So 0.6 into 100,000, 0.4 into 100,000, right? So your expected monetary value is 20,000 in positive or profit. You can expect a question in the exam where you had to do this calculation, okay? Right, this
So,
was the question that I was, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. So here I have a question. So it means that we have uh, one is opportunity and other is a threat,
Yeah,
right?
obviously, positive is opportunity and other is threat. That's right.
Okay.
Right. So this was the other question that I was talking about earlier. So a PM has developed a detailed risk register and calculated contingency reserve based on quantified. From a risk management, what is the key drawback of contingency reserve? Contingency reserve estimations make the reserve visible and therefore vulnerable to arbitrary reduction by management. So this is correct answer. Option B, contingency reserves are allocated only for known risk, which encourage the team to overlay. No, it has nothing to do with unknown risk, right? Because CR is for known and management reserve for unknown. Allocating contingency reserve does not mean you're ignoring this. It has nothing to do with that. Contingencies often require management. No, they do not require management reserve, management approval. Contingencies are perceived as adding padding. No, right? So correct answer is option A. Okay, perfect. There
Marvani,
are
one
other
more. Yes,
yeah,
yes, sorry,
go ahead.
interrupt in middle. Yes, added padding is for management reserve, right? Means if we have
Hmm.
more management reserve, then we can say that it's added padding.
Yeah, padding is without any calculation,
Yes, so it's
right?
for management
If
reserve.
no, not for management reserve. Are reserved are based on some calculation like past experience, complexity of the project. If you just add, let's say you say, okay, this is my reserve, right? Sorry, my estimate. My estimate is, let's say, $300,000. And you say, okay, let's add reserve $50,000 without any calculation. This is what we call padding.
So, as my understanding is that for management reserve, there is no certain calculation. It's on the
No, there
historical.
is. So historical is calculation, right? It is based on past experience, based on some thumb rule. So you're using some basis, right? So when you don't have any basis, that's what we call padding. When you're using some basis, that's not padding, okay?
But for the management reserve, there is no concrete. I can means I want. I have some confusion in it. That for management reserve, there is also means some uncertainty. No concrete calculation. Padding is also an uncertainty. What will be the main
No.
difference?
See, the main difference is that, for example, I say Arslan, the estimate for this project is $200,000. And
Right.
without looking at complexity of the project, past experience, and anything, you say, okay, add 40,000 as reserve. This is what we call padding. On the other instance, I say, this is the estimate. What is the reserve for this? You go back, you review the project, you look into the complexity, you look at past lessons learned based on previous. You say, okay, previously we added 30,000, but it was less. We invested 10,000 extra, so 40,000 is good. Okay, let's do 42,000. So this is based on your past experience, lessons learned, experience, complexity. So this is not padding. Padding is something that does not have any basis. So this is the difference between these two. Okay.
Right.
Perfect. Okay, so in addition to that, we use other techniques as well, right? For example, we use Monte Carlo simulation, right? Monte Carlo simulation. Just a second. Yes. Now, what is Monte Carlo simulation? Monte Carlo simulation, it's a forecasting tool. Forecasting tool, right? It is used for prediction, right? Predictions. For example, let's say you're not sure about your total project budget. You say, okay, my estimate is $200,000, right? What would be my estimate at completion? It could be anything, right? As it depends on risks. More risks, more budget, more estimate, less risk, more, less estimate. How much it would be based on risk factor. This is the job of Monte Carlo simulation. Monte Carlo simulation assesses millions of risk scenarios, potential scenarios, and based on that, it predicts the most probable scenario. For example, let's say without any risk, your estimate is $300,000 when you have zero risk. So if no risk is occurred, your estimate would be $300,000. And suppose you identify 100 risks. How many risks will be occurring? Who would like to answer? How many of them will be occurring? Anyone, please. If you identify 100 risks, how many of them will be occurring?
It's dependent upon the time and probability.
Sorry, you're not audible.
We are not sure because these are uncertain.
We're not sure about it, right? And we said estimate are based on number of risk occurred, but we're not sure which risk would be occurring. This is the job of Monte Carlo simulation. Monte Carlo simulation considers millions or thousands of different scenarios, and it predicts the most suitable scenario. Okay, what if one risk is occurred out of 100? What is the probability of meeting this cost objective? I repeat my question. Or let's say, if all 100 risks are occurred, what is the probability of still completing project in 300,000? Anyone, please. If all 100 risks are occurred, which you identify, what is the probability of completing your project in 300,000?
Zero.
Zero, right? Negligible, minimum. Because if none of the risk is occurred, your estimate is 300. But if 100 risks are occurred, it is nearly impossible to still complete project in 300,000, right? Because 100 risk will add more money, so it will go up. So Monte Carlo simulation gives you a curve, right? Like this. Here you have probability on one axis, and here you have expected project duration or expected budget. So let's say expected budget could be 200K, 210K, 220K, 230K, 250K, 260K. And let's say you estimated that your budget would be, let's say, this one. 230K would be your budget. This is what your estimate is. Now let's see what Monte Carlo simulation says. So we discussed that if all 100 risks are occurred, what's the probability of completing your project in 230? Anyone, please? If all 100 risks are occurred.
0.
Zero, wonderful. So I'm going to use a dot here. This dot means 0. Okay, what if 99 risks are occurred out of 100? What would happen to this probability? Instead of 100,
1%.
sorry, what? Abid?
I guess if, let's say, for example, 99 risk has occurred,
Mm-hmm.
so uh, you're asking about what will be the probability of completing
Yeah, what would
project in
happen to the
2000K?
probability? Yes. What would happen to the probability?
At least greater than 0.
Greater than 0. Fantastic. Probability will go a little up. It could be anything. As Umesh is saying, just above 0. So I'm going to draw another dot. Okay, what if 98 occur? Not 100 or not 99. This will go up a little bit. So if we plot all potential scenarios, right, we will get a curve like this. We will get this S curve. This is what Monte Carlo simulation will give you. It will give you this S curve, right? Now, what we get from this S curve? On this side, we have probabilities. Let's say this is 0.5, 0.75, 0.25. Now, based on this, we can see that the probability of completing our project in 230 is 0.76. So there's a 76% chance that we will end up completing our project in $230,000. So it predicts the possibility of achieving your project objective in terms of cost or in terms of schedule. That's the job of Monte Carlo simulation. That probability could be anything, right? It could be 30%, 40%, 60%, 90%. So it analyzes all the data of your individual risks that you have identified, all the quantitative data about overall project risk, and it analyzes millions of potential scenarios. Okay, my question to you is, I'm saying 100 risk. Total number of risk is 100. But at the same time, I'm saying millions of potential scenarios. What does that mean? How we can have millions of scenarios when we only have 100 risks? How?
It's make them
Anyone, please.
probability of risk happening at one immediately, or we can say parallel. How can means if one risk occur one time, if two, three, which two, three risk is make us sets of different risk
That's
occurring.
right. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. For example, if just one risk is occurred, there are 100 scenarios. If just one risk is occurred, out of 100, there are 100 different scenarios. If two risks are occurred out of 100, how many potential scenarios we can have? Anyone, please? Random guess. If
10,000.
2 out of 100 are occurred, how many scenarios we have?
10,000.
How much?
10,000.
10,000. Okay. If we use mathematics, permutation, and all those things, it's around 4950, right? 4950. Because the formula is n into n minus 1 divided by 2, if you want to know the scenarios. So 100 plus, you can add this. If 3 risks are occurred out of 100, right, then it would be 161 and 700, right? So you see, that's why I said millions of potential scenarios. So Monte Carlo simulation analyzes all these potential scenarios and it picks one, the most probable scenario. If 4 risks are occurred, it would be 3.9 million. Right? So you see, that's why I said millions of potential scenarios. And if 5 out of 100 are risk, you can imagine, right? So the point that I want to make is Monte Carlo simulation performs scenario analysis. And based on the scenario analysis, it uses data, current data and previous data to predict outcome of your project or probability or chances of completing your project within defined cost and schedule objective. This is what we call Monte Carlo simulation. Is it clear, everybody? Any confusion about it, please feel free to ask. Any confusion regarding?
We said
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Did not get how you
Sorry?
calculation, how you got this scenario one. Sorry.
I couldn't understand your question, but based on current data and past performance, let's say we have risk, rain, protest, change in regulations, right? So these are 3 risks. Let's say we are discussing a scenario where 3 out of 100 risks are occurred. These are 3, okay? So it will see, okay, what's the probability of rain based on current data and previous data, right? So let's say probability is 0.2. What's the probability of protest? Let's say 0.1. What's the probability of regulation? 0.2. Okay. Then what is the impact based on current data and previous data? So $5,000, $2,000, $6,000, right? So the total impact of this scenario would be calculated, right? So let's say whatever it is, I'm writing a random number, $9,000, right? So if this scenario occurs where probability is this will be the impact. Similarly, all scenarios are analyzed, and the scenario with highest probability will be considered, and whatever impact would be, that impact is added in your estimate. Umesh, you understand? Does it make sense?
Yes. Actually, just you were calculating here, right? N into n minus 1 by 2. So some random number you written there. How did you find it?
Which number?
Sir, maybe Mesh is asking about this, how this number of potential are coming with this formula. The potential scenarios we are talking about.
Are you talking about these numbers?
No, sir, these are 4950 and 161,000, those numbers.
Yes,
these numbers.
Yes.
This is simple mathematics. This is simple mathematics, right? If 1 out of 100 risk is occurred, there are 100 different scenarios, right? For example, risk A is occurring, then B, then C, then D. If one risk at a time occurs and total risks are 100, there are 100 different scenarios. If 2 out of 100 are occur, use this formula, you will be getting 4950. So this is simple mathematics, right? So
Excuse me, sir.
there is no,
You're talking
yeah,
about,
go ahead.
let's say, for example, one risk is happening, so there are 100 scenarios. What does
Yeah.
specifically this mean?
What does this specific? These are 100 different situations. You're analyzing situation. For example, if you drive your car, if you go out, what are potential scenarios and what are risks associated with that? For example, scenario number one is you drive safely, you go complete your job and come back. That's scenario number one, less risky. Scenario number two is, let's say somebody hit you, unfortunately. This is scenario number two. Then you analyze what's the risk of that. Scenario number three is you hit somebody. Scenario number four is your car gets out of order. No accident, but you're stuck. So before you go out, you analyzes all these potential scenarios, and based on past experience, you predict what is most likely going to happen. So based on past experiences, most likely you will go safely, complete your work, and come back. There is less risk involved, right? So you could say, okay, I don't need a lot of reserve. I just need, let's say, uh, $1,000 with me. That's it, nothing else. No need to be worried.
Amar bhai was just calculating on the probability of three risk. Then this 161,700, how it will come? It's not like I'm not understanding this calculation basically.
After 3 weeks, what will come next after three?
N minus 2,
Let's say you
n minus
analyze
1,
is
n minus 2.
all one, then you analyze two, then you analyze three, then you will
Yes.
be analyzing four, then you will be analyzing five, then you will be analyzing six. So definitely this will come. So first you will be analyzing 100, then you will be analyzing 5,000, then you will be analyzing this, then you will be analyzing this, right? So this is how it is done. So you're not
Yeah,
stick to
actually,
three only.
yeah,
No,
just formulas will change. So here is Ahmad. Sir, I have one question
Mm-hmm.
regarding these scenarios. So what I understand, we have an individual risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have uh, do the qualitative analysis of that risk, and based on that risk, we see its priority number. For example, five, six, whatever. And then
Uh-huh.
the second next step will be what I understand from my understanding. It should be its quantitative analysis of individual risk. What we are talking here, this is the quantitative analysis of overall risk, whatever risk identified in the particular job or project. But before
Yeah.
reaching to that point, I am just wonder how we can quantify a particular single risk. So, for example, there is a risk, for example, uh, escalation in the price due to certain reason, right? For certain piece of equipment. So I check this probability and I qualitatively analysis its ranking. Then how I will assess what will be the impact of that particular risk quantitatively. So this is I understood. Okay, this is the whole list of risk, and we analyze the relations between risk and see the probability of occurring those risks. So I just want to understand what will be the impact of single risk quantitatively. I think you
Okay.
understand my
We have,
question, right?
yeah, we have already discussed that, right? Let me go back. So this calculation here, right? This is where we do when we calculate expected monetary value of individual risk, right? This is how we do that. So we calculate the probability, then we calculate the impact, then we calculate what is EMV of that risk. So this is where it is done. And how we calculate probability? This is based on consensus. Team members sit together, right? They review past data, they review current data, and based on that, they come up with these numbers. For example, what's the probability of rain tomorrow? For that, you need to read weather report, right? Whatever probability is there, you will be using that. Let's say 0.3. So you will get this number. And then you say, okay, what if there is a rain tomorrow? What will happen? What will the impact? Let's say you're not able to work under rain. You have to stop work for 4 hours and you have to pay labor without work. So let's say total labor cost is, I'm just writing a random number, $10,000. So 4,000 will be the loss. So you will be writing, okay, 0.4 is the probability, 4,000 is the loss. So 1,600 will be loss or expected monetary value. So this is how it is done. So for individual risk, you sit with the team, you calculate probability, you come up with the impact, you multiply it. So you do with all the risk, right? This is how it is done. Ahmad, is
All
it
right.
clear?
So yeah, just I was thinking it's a qualitative analysis, but
No, it's
since the
quantitative analysis. It's not qualitative.
since the values are involved, okay, it's quantitative. All right.
Okay,
Okay,
right.
fine. Thank
Coming
thank
back to
you. Sorry.
Arslan's question. Arslan, you understand this from where we get this number about
Yeah,
Monte Carlo?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, fantastic. So Monte Carlo simulation, it helps you understand various scenarios and it identifies the most probable scenario, whatever it is. It could be 67 out of 100 risk. So if 67 risks occurred, then what would be the impact? So it predicts impact of how many risks would be occurring and what would be their impact. That's the job of Monte Carlo simulation. So it is used for prediction. Okay. Similarly, we use other techniques as well for quantitative risk analysis. For example, we use sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis. So sensitivity analysis helps you understand which elements of the risks have biggest impact on your project. So for example, when say our project objective, so we have cost, our project objective, we have schedule, our objective. So we want to see which risk has the highest impact on your project objective. That's where we use sensitivity analysis. And how we get to know, right? How we get to know, we do this by changing inputs. This is really interesting to know, changing inputs. So for example, let's say your total project cost is dependent on different factors. For example, it depends on requirement gathering, how effectively you gather requirement. It depends on stakeholders' engagement. It depends on team motivation, right? So you can write these factors. These are different factors, right? These are different factors. And then it depends on, let's say, labor cost, cost of raw material, right? So these are different factors that will potentially impact overall cost of your project, equipment cost. All these factors will give you a cost, and let's say it is 200,000. Okay, all these factors. Now we want to see which factor has the highest impact on project cost so that we address that area. You understand, everybody? Does it make sense? How do we do that? We'll be talking about that. But first, you need to understand what is the purpose of sensitivity analysis. We want to see which factor or which element has the highest impact on project cost or on project schedule. This is what we want to determine through sensitivity analysis. Is it clear, everybody? Any confusion about it? Anyone, please? Now, how do we determine that? So what we do is we change one factor and we keep every other thing constant. For example, let's say we are keeping requirement gathering, schedule, labor cost, material cost, team motivation constant, and we are changing equipment cost. Let's say we are changing equipment cost by 10%. If we change equipment cost by 10%, what would be the impact on overall cost? Let's say overall cost is, I'm writing $230,000. You understand, everybody? Then I repeat same. How I repeat, I keep everything constant and I change material cost by 10%. And then I see what's the value. Let's say the value is, if I change material cost by 10% and everything remains same, this would be 280,000. Then I again perform, I keep everything constant, I change labor cost, 250,000. I change everything constant, I change motivation, let's say 220,000. Similarly, I keep on doing these analysis one by one, and then I see which element, if change, has the highest impact on your project. Based on the example that we are discussing, it is what? It is material cost. So material cost is highly sensitive. You need to manage this to control your cost. So this is highly sensitive element for your project. Does it make sense, everybody? You understand? And based on that, we get a tornado diagram. Let me draw it here. You'll get better idea. So this is how your tornado diagram looks like. Sorry. A T-shaped diagram. On one side, you have threats. On the other side, you have opportunities. So let's say I'm drawing this here. Then there is another one here. Then there is another one. These are all those factors that we considered. So which was the highest element? Material cost, right? So I'm going to write here material cost of material. Highly sensitive element. Then let's say, I'm just writing randomly, team motivation. Right? Then stakeholders engagement. Then equipment cost. Then labor cost. And then design or requirements. What does it mean? It means material cost is highly sensitive to your project, and length of bar is called coefficient of relationship. This is highly technical, not important for exam, but just for your knowledge. And it varies from 0 to 1. 1 means this factor has a very strong relationship with project cost. 0 means no relationship. This particular factor has nothing to do with cost, means design has least relationship with cost of your product. Just assuming. In reality, it has, but based on this example. And similarly, on the other side, you write all positive opportunities, whatever they are. right? So this is your sensitivity analysis. This figure or diagram is wider from the top, narrower from the bottom. So it looks like a tornado, like a funnel, right? This is called tornado diagram that ranks various element based on coefficient of relationship or sensitivity. Now, what we get to know that we should focus here. We should carefully manage material cost, and then we should manage team motivation. Then we should manage, okay, we can ignore this, but these are the things where we cannot compromise because these are highly sensitive element of your project. Is it clear, everybody? Any confusion about it? Anyone, please? This is sensitivity analysis. Any question, please? Please feel free to ask. Any question, anyone, please? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Is it too difficult to understand?
No, sir.
It's
You're audible.
I think perfect to go.
Okay,
Move on.
fantastic, wonderful. Then we have PERT, Program Evaluation and Review Technique. PERT, right? PERT. So sometime what happens is you guys, you may have read these somewhere, you have done other certification, but this is the job of an instructor to actually teach you the logic behind it, right? I can simply tell, okay, this is sensitivity analysis, this is tornado, but what's the logic behind why we call it sensitivity? What is meant by sensitivity? What is meant by this bar, right? So, Abid, is it clear? You understand that?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, fantastic. I'm asking this question since you guys have done other certifications from me as well, from somewhere else. So, do you think that this way of explaining things really helps you understand? Or is it like cramming or something? If you need more explanation, I would love to do that. So, Abid, any thoughts on it?
No, sir, it's fine. I mean, in the way I learned these things in the PMP certification, so the explanation was not like this. Alhamdulillah, it is extraordinary. It is fine. Be I'm familiar with this because we went through it in the PMI-CP with you. So it's more or less, I
Yeah.
mean, almost similar to that.
Okay, fantastic, wonderful. Don't hesitate to ask question, right? Because you need clarity. I know these are the concepts. Uh, for example, this is very challenging and difficult to explain. Monte Carlo and sensitivity. Usually, students don't understand this because we don't use these terminologies. We don't use these techniques. So it's very challenging to actually understand why we are doing that, how we get this curve, right? What's the logic behind it? So it's
Excuse me,
easier
sir,
to
can
say
I
you
ask
get
one
an,
question?
yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Uh, while explaining the Monte Carlo, say Monte Carlo simulation curve, you just mentioned that, let's say, for example, we have a 0%, I mean, 100 risk are uh, has occurred. So there is a 0% chance to complete the
Mm-hmm.
project within the estimated amount that it was the
Yeah,
200,000 or whatsoever. So let's say, for example, if 99 risk has occurred, so it means that the probability of completing the project within the estimated budget will be slightly more than zero. So if you
yeah,
see the curve, if can you please show the curve?
yeah.
Yeah. So
So you're
let's say,
saying
for
why
example,
it's not a
here.
straight line?
No. I mean to say, let's say, for example,
Hmm?
if we just go to the start of this S. I mean, let's say, for example, it
Mm-hmm.
is coinciding with the 260,000, and the probability, let's say, could be 100%. So it means that,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, for example, no risk has occurred. So the probability of
Mm-hmm.
completing the project within the $200,000 dollar, it is how much? I don't just, I think it's our estimate was like 200K. So now it is basically 260K. when no risk, even no risk has occurred.
No, no risk is occurred.
You see this, you see the curve? I mean, the start of the S, I mean, the upside. So here we just estimated that, let's say, for example, the probability of completing the project within the 200K is, let's say, we have a 200,000 US dollars, the total budget. So, let's say, for example, took a start from the very basic that, let's say, for example, 100 risk has occurred. So means there is 0% chance to complete the project within 200K. So if we closely examine the curve, so it means that, let's say, for example, still if there is no risk has occurred, so mean to say that we are still unable to complete the project within 200K.
Where it says no risk is occurred, we are not plotting risks here, number of risks.
Sorry, may I
Okay.
interrupt? Actually, what?
Just a second, Umesh, just
Yeah.
a second. So, Abid, we are not plotting number of risks here.
Okay, got
We're
it.
plotting two things.
Okay.
On
Thank you,
one side, we have
thank you.
probability of.
I got it. I got it.
Okay, perfect. Umesh, you want to contribute? You want to say something?
No, actually, what his main concern in the top, you mentioned that 200K, like project is there. Just go a little bit up, just slightly up. Can you scroll up or down? Bit down.
Your voice is not clear,
Yeah.
Umesh.
Oh, sorry, my network is very bad. Actually, I'm in hospital, so sorry. You can
Same
see
is the
here,
case with me. My
the example
network is
you have
also
given,
extremely bad.
200, yeah, you have given example, right? 200K on the top. So zero risk is there. So in zero risk, there should be, I mean, in 200K, 100% probability should be the work to be completed. But in the curve, what is showing, it is starting from 400K. So that's making the bit confusing.
Umesh, your voice is breaking. I'm not able to hear anything, right? So you can write your question in the chat. I would be happily answering. Your voice is breaking. So try to understand, in this curve, we don't have number of risks. We do not have number of risks. Each dot is different scenario. Each dot represent a scenario, right? So this scenario is, please pay attention. This scenario when all 100 risks are occurred. This scenario when 99 risks are occurred. This scenario when 98 risks are occurred. This when 97, 96, 95, right? So each dot is a different scenario. So we are saying if 77 risks are occurred, what would happen? If 77 risks are occurred, there are only, let's say, 10% chances that we will be completing our project in 230K, right? So each dot is a different scenario. Against each scenario, we get to know the probability. That's the job of Monte Carlo simulation. Plot all potential scenarios, and then against each scenario, see what is the most probable scenario, what is going to happen. So based on this, we can see there is a 76% chance we will end up completing our project in 230,000. Okay. And this scenario is most likely scenario. This is what Monte Carlo simulation tells you. If Monte Carlo simulation tells you this is the most likely scenario, then what will happen? Anyone, please? If it says this is the most likely scenario, what would happen? Anyone, please? What does it mean? Anyone, please.
At this probability, he will provide us at this much probability, and this much will be the cost or duration.
Yeah, absolutely. So it will say you will end up completing your project in 200 and let's say 15K. And the probability to complete this is 50%, right? So in simple words, Monte Carlo simulation tells you what would be your potential project budget or potential project schedule. This graph is showing that there are 76 chances to complete. Yeah, absolutely right. There are 76% chances you will complete your project in 230K. In simple word, if I further simplify, you approach your management and say, our project budget is 250K. And your management asks, what is the confidence level? How confident you are that you will be completing your project in 250,000? Monte Carlo simulation will tell you that confidence level, right? And according to this, let's say 250, let me do this, right? So let's say it is 90%. So you can answer, I'm 90% confident that I end up completing my project in 250,000. You understand? That's what Monte Carlo simulation does. It gives you the confidence level on your estimate. If you still have any question, please feel free to ask. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Next,
Is there any software used for this? I mean, some
there are
well-known
various
software?
softwares that you can use. There are hundreds of softwares that you can use. You can use SAP. You can use. There's one that is called what's the name? Very famous.
MRB, it's Deltec Acumen. We use this Deltec Acumen. Basically, let me share why I got this motivation for this RMP certification. We did the risk analysis our project last week. So I did this quantitative risk analysis on Deltec Acumen. At the end of the class, I can share the report for 5 minutes and I can elaborate to you. All these techniques which are Amarbhai is sharing here, we have done that in that software. So it is practical and it will be then more understandable. I can share the
Fantastic.
at the end of the class.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Arslan. Thank you so much. And just remind me, do share that, okay? We'll have time for that. Okay. Next
Sure.
is PERT, program evaluation and review technique. This is used for estimation, right? Estimation. So in PERT, the formula for PERT is this is also called beta estimate. You will see a question on it, right? Let me confirm with Aftab. Did you see any question on PERT in your exam?
Yes, there was one.
Sorry?
There was one question.
There was one question. Good. So you will see question. In beta estimate, what we do is we take three different estimates, like your best case scenario, your worst case scenario, and most likely or balanced situation. Best case scenario is called optimistic estimate. Worst case is pessimistic. And this is balanced is most likely. So beta estimate, we use a formula that's called optimistic estimate plus pessimistic estimate plus 4 into most likely divided by 6. Right? This is your PERT. Right? So what we're going to do, you will see these number in the exam and you need to find answer for PERT. So let's say optimistic estimate is 100 days, pessimistic is 300 days, most likely is 120, multiply by 4, divided by 6. So 120 into 4, this is 480. 480 into 400, 880 divided by 6. So answer would be how much?
130.
130 days, right? So this is your PERT estimate, right? Just remember. There's another one that's called triangular distribution. That is simple. That's called 3-point estimate. That is optimistic estimate plus pessimistic estimate plus most likely divided by 3. You're not going to use this. Don't use this formula. If the examiner says use PERT, so you're going to use optimistic estimate plus pessimistic estimate plus 4 into most likely divided by 6. Student make a mistake. What they do is they use the first one and get the wrong answer. Remember, answer based on this would also be given in the options, right? So don't get tricked. Use PERT or beta estimate, right? This is based on uncertainty. This is used when there is a lot of uncertainty. So you consider various potential scenarios, right? You consider various scenarios because based on these scenarios, you will be having different outcome of your estimate, right? So this is your PERT, program evaluation and review technique. Okay. If anyone has any question about it, please feel free to ask. Any question regarding PERT? Any question regarding PERT? All good? Any question regarding Monte Carlo? Okay. You will see one more thing in exam that is called trend analysis. All these analyses are really, really important for your exam. Okay, Aftab, how important are these techniques? You have taken the exam. What do you think? How important these are?
Yeah, you will be testing against these techniques. They will not question. Because every technique was almost this
Yeah,
sensitivity analysis
absolutely.
was there. The sensitivity analysis was there. Monte Carlo Hamilton factor was there, like 4 to 5 questions. Or first there was one question, if you remember.
Fantastic. Wonderful. So yes, these are really, really important for your exam. Okay, trend analysis. So in trend analysis, what we do is we see past patterns, right? When the question is about you want to see patterns, you use trend analysis, right? You use trend analysis. Now, let me just give you an example here. Let's say this is your burn up chart. In burn up chart, we show completed work, percentage of completed work. We show completed work, right? It's burn up chart. Okay. So let's say ideally, as per plan, you were supposed to go like this. Okay. On this axis, we have time. And this is your completed work. And this red line is, let's say, your completed work, actual completed work. Okay. Who would like to answer at this point? Should you be happy or unhappy? At this point, let's say, let me call this T1. At T1, happy or unhappy?
Shall be happy.
Okay. Anybody else? Happy or unhappy?
I think this is unhappy because the trend is going to the worst case, right?
Okay. So see, at this point in time, yes, we are above the ideal line, a little above, but this is problematic. This trend is problematic. We were doing wonderful at the start. Then, okay, we did great here, but there is a huge dip in rate of progress. And then it is flat for last, let's say, from T0 to T1, no progress. This should be concerning. And if this trend continues, in a few days, we will be behind schedule. You understand, everybody? So At this point in time, progress looks good, but if you look at the trend, it's bad. So this is what we call trend analysis. So based on pattern, we predict our future performance. This is what we call trend analysis. Is it clear? You understand that? Does it make sense? Any confusion about it? Anyone, please? This is trend analysis. I hope you understand.
Clear. It's clear.
Fantastic. And then we use decision tree analysis. Decision tree is used to make decision under uncertainty. Make decision when you have alternatives or multiple options available, right? So how do we do that? We use expected monetary value for this. So quickly, let me do quick calculations here. Let's say you have make or buy. So you have choice. Either you should building the software yourself or you need to buy it. Let's say this is make in-house, and this option says you can buy it from the market. If you make it in-house, there is zero cost which is going outside of the organization, no initial investment. But if you buy it, let's say you're buying it at $500,000. This is the software cost. This is negative because the money is going out of the organization. If you make it in-house, there are two possibilities. One, you end up build a high quality product. Second, you end up build low quality product. Probability 60% chance you build high quality product. 40% chance you build low quality product. If you build high quality product, let's say your revenue that you will be getting is, I'm just writing a random number, let's say $400,000. If you build low quality product, let's say revenue is 200,000. Similarly, if you buy a software, there are 60% chances of success or high quality. There are 40% chances of low quality. This number may vary. I'm just writing for understanding purposes. Let's say benefit is 900, benefit is 300. Now you have two different options. Which one you would be doing? We will be calculating expected monetary value for each option. So EMV for make, I told you the formula, probability into impact. So 0.6 into 400K plus 0.4 into 200K. So this is 240K plus 80K, 320K. Expected monetary value, total benefit that you can expect if you make product in-house is $320,000. Let's do same for this one. So this would be 0.6 into 900K plus 0.4 into 300K, 540K, 120K. This is 660K. Which one you would be doing, anyone, please?
Boy.
Why?
Make.
Why make?
Because there is a zero make cost.
Absolutely. You need to subtract 500K here. So what you will be getting here, 160K only. So this option, making in-house, has highest benefit or highest expected monetary value. So this is what we call decision tree analysis. This is simple, easy decision tree analysis. In real life, we have multiple branches and then sub-branches and then sub-branches, right? It's very
So
hectic.
I have a little confusion here. So
Yeah.
it's 80K. It should be minus or plus.
No, it shouldn't be minus. I'm saying
It shouldn't
profit.
be
I'm
minus.
saying benefit. I'm not saying loss. I'm saying if you
Okay.
make it
All right. Okay. Okay.
in-house.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. It's I find it's fine. Okay. Got it.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
not a loss. Yeah. Yeah. It's a difference, right? Thank you.
Perfect. Anybody else, any question? Any question, please? Okay, so this is another analysis that we do when it comes to quantitative risk analysis. By doing all these, what we get in the end, we get overall risk factor of your project. And that was the purpose, to get overall risk factor, whatever it would be. Overall risk factor of your project. Combined effect of all the risks. That's what we want to determine by doing quantitative risk analysis. Okay. Once it is done, we move to next step, which is plan and implement risk responses. Now we need to plan for responses, right? There are different types of responses that we do. Different type of responses. For example, we have risk escalation. We have risk transference, right? We have risk mitigation. We have risk avoidance. And we have risk acceptance. Please pay attention. These are really important for your exam. Okay, let's talk about escalation. Who would like to answer what is meant by escalation?
Sir, anything that is beyond your control, you need to escalate. For example, if any job that needs to be done and that is beyond the powers or control of the project manager or risk manager, you need to escalate to the higher ups.
Sorry, could you please repeat?
Sir, I just mentioned that anything that is beyond the power or the in the position of the project manager or the risk manager, so he can escalate it to the higher up. Like the risk manager could escalate the certain task or activities if he is not able to make it, so he can escalate it to the project manager, or project manager even can escalate them to the project sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely right. If a risk is not relevant to you, what you're gonna do is you're gonna escalate. So escalation is internal transition. So you internally transition the responsibility of a risk to relevant entity. This is called risk escalation. Right? So this is called escalation. Then we have transference. Transference is external transition. You are handing over work and risk to an external entity. Right?
Could be a department
To an
also.
external entity. Anyone external to your organization.
Okay.
Right? For example, outsourcing.
Like bike insurance.
Yeah? Anybody else?
So it covers the subcontracting as well, right? The transfer,
Yeah,
any of
absolutely.
that is, yeah. Okay. Right.
Right. So transference is external transition. Right? When you outsource, you buy insurance, subcontracting, all these are examples of transference. Then we have mitigation. Right? Mitigation means minimize probability and impact of a risk. Anyone please give me example of mitigation?
Any risk which you identified and you assigned someone to find a solution or alternative solution to eliminate this risk, or maybe you can recover some impact of that.
Yeah,
It could
absolutely.
be within the budgets
Mitigation is
as well.
no, not within the budget. Obviously, you need budget for that.
No, I mean, maybe you can utilize from somewhere else if the risk impact is higher. Then maybe you can maybe it's have an impact on the one budget head, and you can save from the another one. So that also called mitigation, right?
That's right. Anybody else? Any other example of mitigation?
Sir, can we say like the to do some activity earlier to avoid the escalation or the cost increment in the coming days, like the
Yeah,
order
being
material
proactive. Yeah,
procurement. Yes, material
that's
procurement.
right.
As per historical data, if we will place orders in December, maybe
That's
we
right.
are at the price of $100. But if we are able to place orders in June or August before December, then we will get the same thing in $90. So we will try to uh, cover the procurement early before that risk occurrence. This
Right.
is something we are mitigating the risks.
That's right. Ordering earlier. Right. Perfect. Anybody else? Any other example?
If there is any chance of rain and we plan our activity to finish early.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Maybe change in technology or technology improvement of certain sort of risk to minimize the failure rate, for example.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Let me give you one more. Providing trainings. What is this?
Mitigation.
Mitigation.
Okay, it's mitigation. Okay, having multiple suppliers. What is this?
Mitigation.
Mitigation is
Okay. Um, okay, right. Having a backup plan if your key resource leaves. What is
Mitigation.
this? Is it mitigation? Okay. Doing activities in parallel fashion. What is this?
This is
I
also
think it's again
mitigation.
mitigation.
All of these are examples of mitigation. Perfect. Then we have avoidance. Avoidance is complete elimination of risk. Elimination of risk. Making the probability zero. Right? Anyone please give me example of risk avoidance?
And sir, for example, there is a chance of rain for tomorrow. Let's maybe put 20, 30, or let's say, for example, and we just totally skip to do work tomorrow. So this is avoidance.
Right? Anybody else?
One more example, if we have a risk of accident, so we should not drive, so we are avoiding, we are making probability zero.
How? Not by not driving?
Yeah, by staying at home.
Yeah. Staying at home means not
It
doing
means
that activity. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, it means not doing that activity or not doing that project.
Okay.
Activity is one thing during the project. Maybe we have the alternate solutions for that. So we will go with those. But as Aftab is saying that we will not drive, so we will avoid the accident. I think it is not the proper philosophy of avoidance.
Right. Anybody else? Any other
So avoid.
example of avoidance?
So avoidance is, for example, I need to go certain place to purchase something, and there is a high risk of accident, and I can online purchase that thing so that I can avoid accident by also I am fulfilling my purpose to go that place. So that is, I think, avoidance. Keeping your purpose on and eliminate the risk or probability completely, it's avoidance.
Okay. In simple words, changing your plan and removing the source or cause of activity, right? That's what we call avoidance. Not doing that activity. So usually pure risks, high impact risks, where risks are avoided. Pure risks are those where we have a risk to human life. We avoid that. For example, if there is a high chance of somebody would be killed, we're going to avoid that activity. We're not going to do that. Okay. For example, let's say driving above 200 kilometers per hour, right? That's dangerous. We're going to avoid that. If we know that, let's say if there is a race and maintaining 200 speed is requirement, but there's a high chance that this person would be killed, don't drive. So removing that activity is called risk avoidance. Okay.
But
Okay.
again, the question is, but you have to keep project objectives alive by removing that particular risk. For example,
No,
if
project.
you are harming project objectives by eliminating that particular risk,
Let's say,
so
let's say you want to build the tallest building in the world at point ABC. Okay. Then you conduct risk assessment and you realize you cannot construct a building here, or it's not feasible to construct any taller building, right? So you're not going to do that. Obviously, project objective would be harmed. You need to change your strategy. If you are removing something from your project, obviously project objective would be suffered. That's what risk management is.
so here is another interesting question. So as the part of risk assessment, so we can kill the project as well, the whole
Absolutely, we can
complete
kill the
project.
project.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
if
that's right.
there is a very high level of risk, the project can be killed. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, but how we can assess that particular risk we need to avoid or eliminate from the system?
Okay, so Ahmad, where are you right now?
I am in Jeddah, nearby Jeddah.
I mean, in your home, in your building. How tall is this building?
It's a two-story building.
Let's do some adventure. Go at the top of roof and jump. It's really adventurous. You will have fun.
but I don't have objective.
I'm saying fun. Let's have fun.
To jump.
We will all have fun, right? To see you jumping from the second floor. It would be great to see you flying. Very interesting, fascinating. Let's do it.
Definitely nobody can do it. Will do.
Why? Why?
Because the risk is not. This can be. It's a catastrophic risk. You
Yeah,
can.
same is the case in projects. You identify the risk, and if you can take the risk, you do it. If you can't take it, you don't do it. You avoid it. So it depends on risk appetite of stakeholder. People do jump, right? It's not like that nobody jumps. Have you seen a video that somebody jumped without a parachute from a plane? Have you seen that?
Yes, sir. I saw it many times.
Yeah. Yeah, do watch that on YouTube. Somebody jumped from aeroplane without a parachute, right? They had the appetite, they did that. So any risk that is within our appetite, we do that. If it is outside of the appetite, we don't do that. Okay. So based on the appetite, we decide what to do and what not to do. Okay, perfect. Next is acceptance. Who would like to answer? What is acceptance?
Any risk which is below the threshold can be accepted.
Okay. What is meant by acceptance? First, we need to understand that.
So let's say, for example, there is some risk in doing something. So you accept them and make a plan for it. And the worst situation could be that you accept it and do nothing.
Right? Right. Acceptance means doing nothing. Remember, low priority risks, low priority risks are accepted. Right? People who do not have other certification, when I use word acceptance, they consider it okay, accept that a risk exists. Not acceptance means ignoring risk. No, 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 no. That's not the definition of acceptance. I repeat, when I say acceptance, people think you are accepting and acknowledging that a risk is there. When I say no acceptance means you're thinking there is no risk. No, this is not the right definition. Acceptance means you're accepting, yes, there is a risk, but you need not to be worried about it because it is low priority. Do you understand, everybody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Low or no, acceptance is divided in two different categories: active acceptance and passive acceptance. Passive is do nothing, just add the risk in risk register, and that portion of risk register where we have low priority risk, that is called watch list. So you simply add the risk in watch list, right? You add the risk in watch list. I hope it is clear. Okay. Then active acceptance is what you do is you're not taking any action now. You're setting aside contingency reserves. Let's say you're saying, okay, let's allocate $10,000 for this risk, and we'll see what to do later. Right? Okay. 10,000. So this is your active acceptance. You're not taking any action. You're just setting aside any reserve. Now, there is something linked to this. What you gonna do with this $10,000? So you keep an eye on the risk. You monitor risk, right? And whenever a risk is occurred, you use these reserve and you do contingency planning. Contingency plan or contingency planning is a planning when a risk is occurred and you use that contingency, extra contingency, and plan for something. You don't plan earlier, but you plan it when a risk is occurred. This is called contingency plan. So there is a difference between mitigation plan and contingency plan. Who would like to answer? What's the difference between these two? Mitigation and contingency. This is an important question for your exam.
Sir, mitigation, we can say that to plan the risk response in such a way that we avoid the extra cost which we have to bear without managing this risk. And contingency is that response that we have some reserves to response those risks. I mean, we are parking some
In
reserves
simple
for those.
words, yeah, in simple words, mitigation, it's an action that you take before a risk is occurred. Contingency planning, it's a planning when a risk is occurred. That's the difference between these two. If you are taking an action before a risk is occurred, that is called risk mitigation. If you're taking an action after a risk is occurred, that is called contingency planning. Okay. So these
So
are
you mean to
five.
say like
Yeah, go ahead.
for example, mitigation plan could be like either to make the probability of the risk to make it zero, or to make the impact of the risk to make it zero, or make it less, like this.
Yeah, for example, if you're taking an action earlier, let's say you're providing trainings to your employees, right? And you are strengthening their skill set. That's what we call you're mitigating any risk of poor quality, right?
Yes, sir.
And let's say you're doing additional
Yes, sir.
testing after poor quality signs are there. That's what we call contingency planning. You added 10,000 reserve, like in case there is a compromise on quality, you will be doing additional testing, right? Then you plan for additional testing. That's what we call contingency, risk contingency or contingency planning. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Similarly, we have responses for positive risks. So positive or for opportunities is escalated. If there is a benefit that you cannot handle, somebody else is responsible, that you will simply escalate that. Instead of transfer, you share positive opportunity. That is called share. Instead of mitigation, you enhance the benefit. Instead of avoidance, you exploit. And acceptance remains same. Please remember this for your exam. Escalation, you're saying to program manager, hey, this is an opportunity, please take care of it. This is escalation. Share, there is a new technology, you don't have enough money to buy it, you sign a joint venture agreement with somebody, right? And you share benefits. That's what we call share. Enhance, artificial intelligence, you're providing trainings to your employees to enhance the benefit of artificial intelligence, right? Exploitation, making 100% sure that you're going to get benefit from an opportunity. Moving the probability closer to 100. See, what was the avoidance? Moving the probability to 0, 100% elimination. Exploitation is making probability of an opportunity 100%. Right? This is what we call exploitation. And then we have acceptance. Acceptance is same for those. Last thing here is what we call fallback plan. Anyone, please, what is fallback plan? What is fallback plan? Anyone, please?
Fallback plan is basically like we call it plan B. Let's, for example, we have planned something for any specific risk that after occurrence, if our action would not give the intended result, so we go for the another plan, that is the plan B.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, if primary plan fails, then secondary plan as a fallback
Okay.
plan is used. Like one equipment is delayed, so fallback plan is primary plan was to use another supplier, alternate supplier, but fallback plan is rent an equipment temporarily.
Okay. Right. Anybody else? What
Yeah,
is
same
fallback
kind
plan?
of changing the strategy, right?
Fallback plan is when you so see, one, you have a primary plan. When your primary plan fails, you have another plan. You come up with another plan that is called plan B. So plan B is called fallback plan. So for high priority risk, right? For high priority risk, we have fallback plan, plan B. So that's the difference between primary plan and fallback plan. I hope it is clear. Okay. Then we have two more concepts here. One is called secondary risk and other is called residual risk or residual risk. So secondary risk is a risk that is occurred because of your primary risk response. Let's say you have a target to complete RMP certification by 10th of month, 10th of Jan. That's your target. But if you prepare on your own, there are high chances of failure, right? There are high chances of failure. Okay. This is the risk. High chances of failure if you do it on your own. This is your primary risk. In order to respond to this risk, what you take primary action, and that primary action is you enroll in my course. But when you enroll in my course, I say you need at least minimum 15 days to prepare. If you follow this plan, you get into another risk, and that risk is delay. So you will not be able to achieve your goal within this target, right? So this is what we call secondary risk, a risk that comes up because of your primary risk response, right? You understand? Does it make sense? A risk that you see because of your primary risk response, that is called secondary risk. So what we do is when we plan for primary risk response, we also identify secondary risk. We identify and we put them in risk register. We come up with the plan, right, for secondary risk. So secondary risk are treated same way as we treat primary risk. Is it clear, everybody?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Clear. Yes, clear, sir.
Okay, perfect. Right. Then we have residual risk. I hope you got the idea about secondary risk. Then we have residual or residual risk. Now, residual risk is a leftover risk. What is meant by leftover risk? This is a risk for which you can't do anything. For example, you have taken my course, you studied well, you prepared well, you did all the mock tests, you have done every possible thing. Then what are the chances that you will be failing the exam?
Should be very low, right?
Wouldn't it be zero?
I would say not zero, but yes, there would be, because the questions may vary as from our discussions.
Yeah, still there would be some possibility. Even if you do every possible thing, still there is a chance of failure. That chance of failure is called residual risk. Leftover impact of risk for which you can't do anything. Now, my question is, if you can't do anything about that, then why we are studying that?
But at least we have the basic principles and the knowledge.
Then what's the advantage of that?
It's reduce the risk, but I would say not eliminating fully.
No, yeah, that's right. But what's the benefit?
Learning,
Learning, is it
yeah.
the main benefit?
Preparing for the exam, learning and understanding.
Okay. So see, the purpose is that, let's say you are driving a car, you do all the precautions, everything, seat belt, you are within your lane, within speed limit, you have your driving license, you're very cautious. Would you be driving or not?
Of course, driving,
You will
well
be
prepared.
driving.
Yeah.
But what if I say, despite all these things, there's a 90% chance there would be an accident. Would you be driving?
No, I will check the possibilities why you are saying that there could be an
That's
accident.
a separate debate. That's a separate, assuming you
Yeah.
trust me. And I'm saying this, doing every possible thing, residual risk is 90%. In previous case, it was 5%. You said, okay, I will drive. And then I say, okay, in second scenario, despite doing everything, residual risk is 90%. Would you be driving?
Maybe I will think.
You still drive, even if you say there's a closer to 100% chance there is an accident.
But if I'm confident that I have well prepared, then definitely I will drive. But even though if I have a little bit, I would say,
90% is not a little bit, Rifat.
Sir, his appetite is very high, I believe. Risk appetite is very high.
Start test it tomorrow, okay? Ask him to drive at 300 miles, okay? Then I'll see his appetite. You will not drive, obviously. For example, you are prepared well. I'm saying this road is not good. People do rash driving. You are cautious, but they are not cautious, and there is a high chance you will get into accident.
yeah.
No
So that's why
sane
I said I
person
will
would
know the
drive.
probability why you are saying this. I would like to know that first,
Leave
the
it.
reasons.
I
Yeah.
said just trust me. I said just trust me.
Okay.
We're not going into that
Then
debate.
definitely, yeah.
I'm saying, let's say I'm the, best driver in the world. I know everything, and I'm giving you an advice. Hey, Rifat, you are well prepared, but if you drive today at this time, there's a 90% chance of accident. You're not going to drive. So that's why monitoring residual risk is really, really important. If residual risk is within your appetite, you shouldn't be worried. But if it is outside of your appetite, you're not going to do that activity. So monitoring residual risk is really, really important.
All right.
Sir, is there any limit of appetite, like it shall be not more than this
Sorry, what?
percentage out of 100? The limit of the appetite.
Sorry, what?
The limit
Limit
of
of what?
appetite. Appetite. Risk appetite.
It varies from person to person. It
But
varies. It could be
up
anything. It varies.
to what percent in terms of company, If the company is saying that they one project is of X value and they have the 100% risk appetite for this project, is this a true statement?
No, this is not. So we don't do that. Actually, we see in terms of numbers, like how much loss you can bear. For example, let's say you're a person, I say, Saftar, you have $100,000. Let's invest in crypto. Now, there are two possibilities. Either after 2 weeks, it would be $200,000 or it would be zero. So there is a possibility of 100% loss. So if you say yes, do it, it means that's your risk appetite. You have 100% appetite of bearing the loss, right? If you say no,
Yes.
I cannot, bear that. I can only bear 20,000 loss, so 20,000 is your appetite. So it varies from project to project, from company to company, from stakeholder to stakeholder. Okay? Is
Okay,
it
sir.
clear? You
But
understand
any
that?
journal, criteria for the risk appetite
There
or
can't be
journal
general. No,
universal?
no, there is no universal thing for this, right? It varies from project to project. It varies from
Or the
company to
best,
company.
or we can say best practice, it shall be between 10 to 15% or 5 to 10%, like this. Anything there in
No, there
the
is no such
PMI?
standard. There is no percentage, right? There is no
Okay.
percentage. It all depends on how important that investment is for you, how important that project is for you, and how much you're willing to invest. It keeps on varying. Some project you're not willing to invest, appetite is too low. For some, it is very high. So there is no hard and fast rule for that, okay?
Okay, sir.
Perfect. Right. So this is residual risk. So this comes under monitoring section. So you monitor your secondary risk and residual risk, right? And if your residual risk is more than your appetite, you're not going to do that. Okay? I hope it is clear. Any question from this section, anyone, please? From the response section. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. So you should have solid understanding what is contingency planning, what is fallback plan, what is residual risk, what is secondary risk, how many different risk response strategies we have, right? You should have solid. There's another terminology that we use that is called workaround. Anyone, please, what is workaround? Just try to answer. What is workaround?
Workaround is a response to an issue because we have not planned any
Okay.
response earlier.
Okay. Perfect. Workaround, it's a response to an issue. Perfect. Issue is a risk which is already occurred, an event that is already occurred. So it is an unplanned risk or issue response for unforeseen risk, right? And we also call it's a temporary response. Let's say you're driving and unfortunately, may this never happen. Let's say a fire broke out in your car. You didn't have any response for that. You didn't anticipate that. At that time, you will not sit and document that. You will simply try to do something to get rid of that fire. That is called workaround, an unplanned response to an issue. That is called workaround. So for temporary relief, what we do is we apply workaround. I hope it is clear.
Yeah, like
That is
sir, you
called.
did in our first class, you had internet connectivity issue. You could not join from laptop, so you joined from mobile for the time
Yeah,
being.
that could be one of the things. My mobile phone was connected with my Wi-Fi, but my laptop was not connected, so I continued my class from there. Right? Perfect. Okay. So what you do is in the reporting section, last thing, you develop risk report for the stakeholders. And the format of, if you need format of risk report, from where will you get that? What would be the format of risk report? Anyone,
Risk
please.
management plan.
Risk
Risk
management
management plan.
plan, fantastic. In risk management plan, right? You check the format, frequency, everything you will be seeing in risk management plan. Accordingly, you will be doing communication. You also have sometimes risk communication plan or communications management plan. According to risk communication plan, you do all your communication. It contains everything, what you will be documenting, what you will be sharing, when, how, who, what mod, what medium you will be using. Everything is presented in that. So it includes the status of identified risk, normally, effectiveness of risk responses, overall project risk trends, and it also includes variance analysis. Variance analysis, actually, you see the difference between what you plan versus what you're doing in actual. So plan versus actual, that's what we call variance analysis. And in risk report, you also add output of your risk audit. Risk audit. There is a difference between risk audit and risk review. Please pay attention. If you want to know the effectiveness of your risk process, you conduct risk audit. If you want to know your risks, what you do is you do risk review. You are reviewing risk data. Like, let's say you had 100 risks. How many risks are now you have? That's what we call risk review. Risk review is a continuous activity. You do it in an iterative manner. Risk audit whenever it is needed, right? Whenever it is needed. So that's the difference between risk audit and risk review. Is it clear, everybody? Any confusion about it? So you share.
It's clear.
Also you can add, last thing, you also do reserve analysis. In reserve analysis, what you do is you see remaining reserve. Remaining reserves. Let's say you had $100, and let's say 50% of project is completed and remainings are 20. What you should be doing? Who would like to answer? Total reserves were $100. 50% of product is completed. Remaining reserves are $20. What you should be doing?
I'll make the full analysis that whether these $20 are reasonable for the remaining risks, or should I add further if needed, then I will report another risk.
Why don't you just request for more risks?
Request more risk. Sorry, I did not get it.
Request more reserves.
Then yes, that's what I said, that I will report another risk, that I have less reserves, and then maybe we need
Fantastic.
to use the
You may, thank you, Rifat. You may expect a
management.
question in the exam similar to this, like exactly similar, like obviously numbers would be different or statement would be different, but the context I'm explaining, like this was the number for reserve, this is the project completion. Now you check the reserves are less, what you analyze remaining risk. And based on that, come up with the decision if you need to request extra budget or not. Okay? So you conduct remaining reserve. And this is the continuous activity reporting. This is an iterative activity, right? That's
Right.
all, everybody. With this, we are done with 100% of the course content.
Yeah, just one concept regarding closing risk. I think we have not discussed that. When we will be
Okay.
closing.
So see, closing risk is what we do is, thank you for bringing this. Let's say you said a risk will be occurring in January, right? And January is past and this risk has not occurred. And there is no chance that this risk will be occurring, right? So you will be closing it, close the risk. And funds, contingency fund for this reserve will go back to the organization. You're not going to use this for any other risk because all other risks have already allocated budget, right? So let's say you're saying there's a high chance of labor unavailability during May and June, these 2 months, right? Or during Ramadan. I'm just giving random example. But now Ramadan is over, right? Now this risk is gone, right? So you can remove it from risk register, right? Or you can close it. Removing means you close it. The status would be closed. This is what we do. All right.
Mr.
Anybody else? Any other question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, one question, please. This is you just mentioned about the risk to close, which is not happened. How about the
Yeah.
happened risks? Do we need to close that as well? For
Yeah,
example, any of
absolutely.
the risks incurred, and then
Yeah.
we
When
mitigate it or something.
a risk is occurred, you have responded, effect is mitigated, then the status would be updated closed, right? Response is implemented and it is closed, and there is no further chance. Then you close it. Okay.
Correct. So all
But
the risks at the end has to be closed, right?
yeah, that's right. Absolutely. That's right.
Understand.
And
Thank you.
also remember one thing, you at the end, what you do, you document lessons learned. So usually we do that at project level, but from risk side, you document lessons learned. And that will become part of the project lessons learned register, right? Once this is done, you're done from the risk section. Then it's the job of project manager to formally close the project, right? We're not talking about closure of project here because that's the job of project manager, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other question? Yeah, please, Arslan, go ahead. Go ahead. Please share your screen and show us. Yeah, please show us.
So the meanwhile, Arslan is sharing the screen. So I would like to say it's timely completion. Its time is very accurate, fantastic, and contents are also very articulate. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you so much for kind feedback. I really want to see all of you passing RMP exam in January, right? Aftab would be taking the lead. Aftab, you should be after each and every student in this class. And it's your responsibility to make sure that everybody takes and pass the exam in January, inshallah.
Sure, inshallah.
Obviously, I'll be taking the main lead, but Aftab will also be there to guide everybody, to motivate everybody, right? Because he stays with most of you, right? So he would help. Okay, thank you. So go ahead, Arslan. Please explain what is this. Everybody, please pay attention.
My project right now is in progress. So this is the risk analysis report for my project. What we do is it's prepared in Deltek document. First of all, we import our P6 XR file in the Deltek document. So it's give our schedule score and it's check our schedule with response with regard to the risk standards whether our schedule is according to that risk standards or not. It's check the links, lag, lead, everything. So it's give the schedule score. Right now it's 95%. If it's less than 70%, then schedule score. Then he says that you have to change your schedule. So after that, there are the risk in the duration of activities. means the activities duration we assign to activities, we have to give each activity the risk, how much risk in completing that activity in that duration. For example, if there is no risk, most likely, highly likely, there are six type of we have given this six type of risk, so in order to 0 to 100%. So then we give the duration each activity, the risk of duration means how much is the risk of completing that activity in that duration. So when we give this input, after that they give us our project score, that there is no risk, this much percent is no risk, very aggressive means if very aggressive, there is very high chances of risk occurring in those activities, very aggressive, less chance. So there is six levels, as I told you: no risk, realistic, conservative, very conservative, aggressive, and very aggressive. So these are the risk types in duration. After that, as Amar Bhai teach do Monte Carlo analysis. So this is that analysis which gives us that in this much duration, this is the chances of risk. This has the chances of risk, then this will be the duration. If there is 0% of risk occurring, then it will complete on time. And as far as there will be risk occurring, chances increases, then duration of the product will also increase. So this is that curve which Amar Bhai was teaching today. So this is on the project completion. This is our two milestone, that this curve is on this milestone. After that, this is risk exposure of the project. Whole project risk exposure means if there is 0% risk, then how and which duration our project will complete, and after that, how if with the percentage of risk increasing, the duration of project will be increasing. It is showing right now duration because I have just applied the duration to the activities, risk and duration. Then this T diagram which Amar Bhai showed to us, that this activity has more risk, this activity is less this risk. This is the that T diagram of this project. After that, this is the possibility of risk on each critical path of project. Each path, how much is the risk? So there are 10 risk path. In each path, it show that risk percentage on each path. So these are the different paths and the risk associated on each activity on this path is show this project. After that, what we do, we assign our risks to the project. Means the risk register we prepare. Then in each risk, we assign that risk in that delta document, and write this. This is the risk matrix, which Amar Bhai showed yesterday. Risk matrix. This is highly likely risk. This is less likely. This is the risk matrix, which color diagram Amar Bhai prepared yesterday. And this is the same we made that diagram in delta document, very high risk, 85% high, and this is then a risk probability and impact. High impact, very low impact, medium impact risk. This will come from probability and impact. After that, we will assign the risk, and there will be no mitigation, only risk assigned. When we have assigned the risk to the our project, then it shows that without risk assigning, only duration. So this was the curve. When we assign the risks, so our duration of the project shifted from 1st October to 5th December when we assign the risk to our project. So after assigning the risk, these are the Monte Carlo analysis. First was on the duration risk. No, it's after assigning the risk. This is the Monte Carlo analysis. And after that, after assigning the risk, it combines duration risk and the risk we have assigned, external risk. So this is the analysis of the activities on that risk. And what we do, then we will add the mitigation of each risk. The risk we have assigned, then we will add the mitigation. After the mitigation, then it provides another Monte Carlo analysis. When we have mitigated the risk, then what will be the scenario? And there will be a third curve here. This curve will show that if when we mitigated, our project again come back to the duration of our project decreases. So this is without risk assigning only duration risk is red line. With assigning risk is green line, and when we mitigated the risks is yellow line. So this is the probability of project completion. So these were the risks which we assigned. So this is the practical example of our project, which I prepared the report. It is ad hoc standard procedure. We have to submit risk report after each 3 months. I hope the practical things you have seen and aligned it with which we have studied today.
Arslan, I think I should make this report as part of my course. This is impressive, and this is exactly what we discussed in 4 days. And the sequence and everything was same, all the graphs and everything. If your organization allows, talk to them. We can change the name, and I would love to have this. And maybe in every class, I request you, please come and present this to all the students. This is really good. Thank you so much for sharing this, everybody. What software you're using to develop these charts and everything?
Software, it is not correct. Each organization has to buy this software. Last, what happened? There was some incident happened with me. I went on leave, and somebody in my absence just formatted the laptop. We have again purchased this laptop. It's $15,000 software, Dell Tech account. So that's why only companies which are working at not projects are here. UAE or other, they have this software. Pakistan, I think, no companies using this software. Here it's a no requirement. That's why we have to prepare this is report after every 3 months. This is the report in December. And if I show you, there will be some risk changing and duration changing when we did it in the last time in July. So
Right,
this is
right.
the like risk management. We have the this is the frequency we have decided after 3 months we have to do the risk analysis.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Arslan. If anyone has any question, you can ask Arslan. This is really good. And thank you, Arslan, for sharing this. All right, everybody, thank you so much. So with this, we're done with the course. Next, I will be sharing the roadmap. Next, we need to do the mock test. And I have shared 200 tips with you. What I will be doing is we are working on making a booklet for the risk management. Hopefully, it will be ready in a week or couple of weeks. Once it is ready, I will be sharing that as well with you. So for questions, we'll keep you updated. Next step is we'll be doing questions. And in couple of days, you will all receive course completion certificate. Once you receive course completion certificate, please write the application. I will be sharing guidelines on how to write the application. I will review your application. Then we will be submitting all the applications. PMI takes 5 to 7 days to review the application. Once application is approved, then we will be completing our mock test, and then we will be scheduling the exam, right? So this is the overall strategy. So in next 15 to 20 days, I expect all of you to be 100% prepared for the exam. So this is what we're gonna do. Meanwhile, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm just a text away. You can reach out to Aftab as well. He has passed the exam, so he has relevant insights. He could help you understand. But please don't hesitate to reach out to me whenever you have any question. Okay, I'll be sharing all the resources with you, class notes, recordings, everything that we have discussed so far. But apart from that, whenever you have question, I'm just a text away.
Thank you very much.
Is it clear, everybody?
Yes, sir. Clear. Thank you very much, sir. Great.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank
Thank
you
you, sir.
for
Thank you.
Thank you.
interactive discussion. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for your passion for learning. I wish you all best of luck, and inshallah, we all are going to pass this exam, and then we will celebrate. Take good care of yourself. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.